Entebbe airport.
No, and they book a flight.
And they book flights and things. Refugees don't do that. Refugees don't have time for that. Refugees, by nature, by its own nature, is that. Personally, I escaped.
Yes, you remember?
Yes, and that was 2 years into this NRA banditry. But I beat 7 roadblocks between Kampala and Entebbe.
You escaped?
I beat 7 NRA roadblocks. So actually, once in a while, some of us actually deserve more medals than some of these guys who bossed in the morning and the evening.
When you let me first hear from the first hand.
No.
How did you
escape? It's not for today.
Which plane did you take?
It's not for today.
Which plane did you take?
No.
Who stamped in your exit? Who? We are here asking ourselves, scratching our heads, which plane did he take? Who gave him the ticket? Who paid the ticket? How? Joseph, you are here. You are an expert in escaping from Uganda and coming back. So tell us, how did you...
Actually, that's very nice. That you could say I'm an expert.
You're an expert.
I'm an expert in escaping.
And you are.
But I'm also an expert on the study of escaping.
You returned here and you're living happy.
Yeah.
So tell me.
I'm not happy at all. My basic rights have been curtailed for the last 5 years, so I cannot say. So anyway, no, I used the taxi. I think we used taxis twice. Then we used buses twice.
You used the taxi from where to where?
The first journey took us of a taxi to a small distance. In between, I'm telling between here and Entebbe, because these are long distance, but I don't think it's the topic for our conversation today. So no, I went through 7 roadblocks between Kampala and Entebbe.
And you beat all of them?
And I beat all of them.
Andrew Irumba live on the Spy Television. My name is Andy Irumba Katusabe, and this is Andrew Irumba live with my usual suspect comrade, my elder Joseph Ochieno Pintek, the permanent spokesperson for the late Milton Obote. However, he always adds a rider, the idea, because the person could have died, but the idea is living. Welcome, comrade Joseph Ochieno.
Thank you very
Pintek.
much. The permanent spokesperson for Milton Obote, and they should be president of the Uganda People's Congress, and I declare that you're absolutely sharp this month tonight.
Have you not been smart?
No,
Both of those days?
I said sharply today.
So now, you are the permanent spokesperson. That one, you don't have any raid, but you are the raider on the presidency. When you say, I am supposed to be the president, yes. I should be. So what do you mean there? You are not?
I am the president, but I'm pending declaration.
Pending declaration.
Yes.
Okay, fine, fair enough. I know your issues at UPC, and I think that should give you a feeling that you should not always be praising UPC. UPC is always right, because if you were always in the correct path, you should be seated in your rightful place. You shouldn't be adding a rider on I should be the president.
In a way you're
right. Most of the times I've heard you speaking, you always UPC.
In a way you're right, because some of these things are problems of systems, institutional systems. But a household which has been broken into by thieves, you don't blame the owners of the home because they failed to build the wall. So because UPC is infiltrated by crooked, dubious people, and because UPC has got some people who are gluttonic, they don't eat enough. So
gluttonic?
Yes. So fair enough, you can say that, well, part of our problem is that we've got some few very cheeky, crooked boys and girls, who find themselves being
with gluttonic tendencies.
Exploited by external forces to that extent. But that said, UPC is the idea, UPC is the ideology, UPC is the values, UPC is the political party, UPC is the track record in this country. There is no political party that matches us.
Give me an example of gluttonic people that you could be.
Anybody who chooses to go underground and wrap themselves like a sheikh in order to go and join others in eating public stolen money, is not UPC, and my Jesus is watching.
That's why I'm asking.
Anybody who's able to,
That's why I'm
they'll be there.
I'm asking individuals. Name for me one or two. Name for me such people who are doing that. I want to rate it down.
From NRM, but if every political organization has it. In UPC, we've got a few people. There is no other way in which we would not be saying that, well, when the matters of constitutionalism comes in UPC, you should do the right job. So unless you're up to something else, why would you do something crooked? And unless you're up to something crooked, why would you want to undermine the political party with integrity and repute like Uganda Post Congress?
One thing you should appreciate about President Museveni is that he acknowledges that UPC has some good leaders. That's why he comes and poaches from you.
Poaches them from the night.
Yes.
In my language, in Agongara, people, those are the business of night dancers. Anybody who doesn't come to your home during the day does not have good intentions. And anybody who doesn't come through the main door has got no good intentions. And anybody who comes late at night and dances, even if this time the moon is up, that one will be dancing on your grave. That is a criminal, that is a witch.
Okay. Comrade Joseph Ochieno, yesterday, the Constitutional Court of Uganda threw out through the window the Computer Misuse Act. This is also part of the act that has been witch hunting decent voices. People having different opinions about the current regime. When they want to imprison you, they use that act. Probably in your language, you used wrong language. Because of anger, you ended up abusing instead of making your point clear with respect. So,
or maybe because of terrible UPE, you wrote something and the grammar was wrong. Their own thing.
So they've been using that Computer Misuse Act to curtail certain rights. I want you to tell us what is the general feeling about what happened yesterday in your own context.
It's a welcome move. You know, a part of the conversation we're having, internal conversation we're having in UPC is actually, there are some people who are trying to justify the terror inside UPC and the impunity inside UPC. And when a legal position has taken place and doesn't favor them, they say, oh, that's the NRA judgment. And when they are challenged, people say, oh, they're going to the NRA court. The truth is that actually the judiciary is substantially compromised. And as I said, it was 5 years yesterday. 17th of March marked 5 years since since I took a matter of a judicial review to court. And the ruling hasn't been delivered yet.
5 years later.
5 years later. And the judicial review, according to the Constitution, is a matter that should be determined
almost immediately.
Almost immediately, but no later than 6 months. So this matter has now taken...
So instead of 6 months, now it's 5 years?
It's taken 5 years, 4 judges, 2 chief justices.
And what has that denied you as a petitioner? What has it denied you as a petitioner at the personal level and as a party?
Basic rights, my freedoms, same to members of the UPC, their freedoms. Citizens of this country, they have lost an opportunity to be able to experience UPC. In the last election, an entire candidate equation to Ugandans and Uganda Post Congress. In my case, I have been walking the streets of Kampala almost like, headless chicken for 5 years.
I've been seeing you.
Likewise, my party has been operating without a leader for the last 5 years. It is such an affront to democracy and basic rights and freedoms of the individual and the community that it's 5 years feels like worse than the 9 years of Idi Amin, and I'm saying it very, very seriously. And that has also meant that in my case, I've been confined. I'm not able to do many other things equivalent to gainful employment. I could be advising the UN, I could be doing my job in the African community, I could be down in Southern, I could be around the world. I'm confined here daily waiting, including I could also be farming in Agongera full-time on a daily basis, but you want to be in Kampala. So it has caused huge havoc. But it's also broken my family, because my family split really nearly in 3 pieces because of this particular street. I'm not able to have all members of my family together because of that. So it's got a huge...
Family, you mean
my core family, no, my personal family, privately, because they asked about me personally.
How has that?
I've got family, you know, I don't want to go to this, but you know, I'm not able to be with my family either in London or Nagongera or wherever I am. Because,
why? Because of this?
Yeah, because of this.
How does that?
You know, I am permanently waiting on a daily basis. I expect a ruling. So I'm in Kampala pursuing a particular legal matter. That's my point. It's a very important point. Please don't deviate from it. You asked me this question. How has it affected you? It has affected me personally, directly, including my family, including my life, and sometimes including my health. Because some of these things, you wake up at 3 o'clock, say, am I getting crazy? You know? Why? So shame on the NRA that went to the bush and broke the people's necks, allegedly bringing the issue calling rule of law. And the judiciary is there, the legislature is there, the central, the executive is there, and you guys in the fourth estate. It's a shameful thing. So it has got huge implications as far as I'm personally concerned. But beyond that, I have sort of come to terms with sort of living in it now. But that said, if that is merely one, then you come to the question of a Computer Misuse Act, where a system weaponizes, as they weaponize the judiciary to check UPC. You could argue weaponize the judiciary to taunt and check Ochieno, weaponize the judiciary to check opposition, weaponize the judiciary, you know, in this case, to give them the convenience. And so Ugandans sometimes say you're going to court, you're wasting time. In my case, I refused because in 2019, 2020, I said we will push for the then Court of Appeal ruling, which had also taken another 4 years, by the way. You know, so this judiciary has cost UPC 10 years of leadership in Lumbu. So because from between 2016 January and 2020 September actually, a mere appeal, which is a political matter that should be expedited urgently, took 4.5 years to be disposed of. So it means UPC has literally been held hostage in Uganda House, and UPC members are being held hostage across the country. And I can tell you the sad thing is that UPC members are dying, particularly the older founder members and some of the other members up country. It's like, it's very, very unfortunate that people who opt to use their brains, who opt to use their political values and their ideology, rather than people who would otherwise opt to go ahead and break people's necks like the Musevenis did in Luwero, should be treated like this. But that as it may, came this other one, and so when the Supreme Court, the Constitutional Court ruled, there was general sigh of relief, and it was the right ruling. But the Constitutional Court has done this also before. In 2004, November 14th, the Constitutional Court again ruled on a matter that we, UPC, later joined by DP, had been pushing for since 1989. This NRM monolithic ban on political parties. And so eventually they ruled sensibly that the ban on political parties were both illegal and unconstitutional and should be lifted. Although now 22 years later we are looking back and wondering what is there. The Constitutional Court did the sensible thing and the right thing. So once in a while, when the judges in their spaces are not massively interfered with, and sometimes once in a while when you get some decent judges, and there's some very many good decent judges, and then I know a number of judges on personally, they're very decent people. And by the way, Lady Justice Irene Mulevo, who did that ruling, is also the Lady Justice, by the way, Lady Justice Mulevo, is also the judge that as the judge of the Court of Appeal led the 5,000 judges that dismissed Jim McKenna's application and asked for fresh election.
Hey,
yes.
This will
yes, and in her ruling, it was thorough. She was thorough. You could see this judge looking at UPC as a human life, looking at political parties as human life, looking at all the parties as a human life. And you read through the judgment, and if you had never been interested in law, yes, you basically want to do law, and you basically want to go. And so when justice is being applied, and these guys are read, these guys are learned. In the last 12 hours, I've got notes from 2 young law students who are basically my mentees, who passed in the first attempt to go into LDC. Very, very exciting stuff. Very, very exciting stuff. And so I don't know when impunity at the top will end, and I don't know when the judiciary, the legislature, you, the fourth estate, even the executive, and we, the fifth estate, we shall be liberated. So that once again we return to a sense of civility where we would express our best. There's some very decent citizens in this country, and so are these people who made the clear decision that they would challenge the computer misuse legislation as presented, and thanks to the court of
fair
court that they dismissed, so, and they did so for the right reason. But just a quick thing that is actually relieving that people who have been abusively detained and subjected to this criminal rigor, including imprisonment, should now be having the relief. We hope they're released quickly, unlike the situation in which a court-martial rules and we clap over Kizza Besigye, and the poor man is now still in jail as if he's a criminal, and we still don't know anything. So that was good.
Fair enough. My elder, before you leave court, before we leave the court matters, last week Besigye was brought back to court, and I'm sure you followed what transpired in court with Justice Baguma. And Besigye actually reached a point of protesting that if this injustice continues and fairness continues, I may even protest next time I don't appear back in your court. What do you make of that now? On this side you have Justice Mliagonza, who is making you proud. You are even now appreciating Museveni's government. Then on the other side of the aisle,
no, I at no time appreciated Mr. Museveni's regime.
Justice Mliagonza, whom you have just praised, was appointed by President Museveni. Have you forgotten?
What does that mean?
I mean, when she does good, and it means her commander who appointed her did well, saw a good person in her. Okay. So on one side. Now on the other side.
So Museveni appointed 99 judges, and out of those there is Mliagonza, who's very good. So we should clap from Museveni.
Yeah, you are good thing you clap.
I think you just have a default soft spot for Mr. Museveni. But as far as I'm concerned, he's got a terrible record where I am. Look,
now you're trying to...
I know that Mliagonza did not attend UPE. I definitely know that.
You're about to claim that she studied in UPC government.
Yes, she did. And
so Mliagonza is your product.
Yes.
You know, Joseph Ochieno, I've been hosting you for some time. Every good thing you take it to UPC. Everybody now, okay. Justice Baguma is also your product because same age group.
Is it my age? I don't know his age, but
no. Same age mate with the Mliagonza.
Terrible, and
I'm sure also Baguma did not study in UPE school. He studied in UPC.
Terrible and recordship.
Now this one you are attaching to cadreship of NRM. Yeah. But Mliagonza, you're taking to UPC.
The determination of what the issues are, the circumstances.
Baguma, Justice Baguma trying. Wait. Justice Baguma trying USG is also a product of UPC. He studied in your time.
You check the pre-NRA curriculum and you see. Check the pre-NRA curriculum and you see. No, there is no way. You know, one of the things that pushed me to exile, or around the time I was being pushed into exile, I was at Makerere. And at the time, these NRA bandits were just beginning to introduce this thing that every head teacher had to go to Chankwanzi and be indoctrinated. Like either Hamas would indoctrinate child blasters, or Israeli Zionists would indoctrinate people who go ahead and bomb schools, or NRA indoctrinate people who go ahead and ban railway stations in Mukura. And at that time, it was terrible. So, no, there is a championship thing which is crude. This cadreship politics is terrible. So, no, I saw that very distasteful. I feel very sad for Kizza Besigye, a man who graduated thanks to the work that UBC Foundation kept for him. Found himself as a young doctor, got swayed by these NRA bandits, went to the bush simply for reasons that are neither here nor there, finds himself in the bush with Museveni, does what he did, they come into power. He's an extremely arrogant young minister, but very, very smart to his credit. Yes.
Was once very arrogant.
And then, they fall out with Museveni, whether it's emotional, social things, or personal family things, I don't know. But definitely now the poor man is suffering in prison. I feel very sorry for him. I really feel very sorry. And really shame on the manner in which Justice Baguma conducted himself.
But what message do you have for Justice Baguma in such circumstances? When you look at Besigye's age, the man is ailing, literally dying from prison. And you realize that Justice Baguma has literally denied Besigye every little right, human right. I was following, when the prosecution brings any request, any prayer, he's very fast to admit it. When Besigye's lawyers bring any prayer, he's very quick to deny it. What message would you give Baguma?
My submissions a short while ago about Besigye, you might think I was being very unkind to him.
Yeah, and I believe so.
I was actually helping the audience to contextualize this thing, and on the spot, the one who's being tried is really Mr. Museveni and his NRA. That Ugandans and some Rwanda and Libyans and others who followed Museveni like zombies, could go ahead and follow this guy and do what they did for him. And Besigye, as a payback, gets what it is. That's the point I'm trying to make. That these guys really committed themselves to end up. So really a shame on this, on Mr. Museveni. But that said also, I saw Mayombo behave.
Nobo Mayombo.
In an extreme.
A fellow Mutoro.
Yeah.
Very knowledgeable young man.
Yes, and you guys have got very high regards for them. Extremely arrogant guy. Who am I own? Extremely arrogant. You see how he treated his brother. So there is something about power. Yes, there's something about power. And please, and I'm saying it in a very considered way, because some of these are relatives to friends. And I know some of these people, are people who people don't want to touch. And if I'm not doing what I'm doing, then I'll be telling myself a lie and not be committing myself to my national duty. Extremely arrogant guy. He came with Bakapukulu and they were literally abusing refugees in London.
James Bakabulu.
Yes. But neither here nor there. But I'm saying that you see.
Wait a minute. The late Nobo Mayombo, a Pan-African. Let me call my point. I want the viewer to understand. A Pan-African called Nobo Mayombo, who was serving in the system at that time,
in the
NRM, came to UK. Is it UK?
Yeah.
Where you were, with the late James Wapakabulu, the former Speaker of Parliament. They came to address the refugees.
They're addressing Ugandans, whether you use the word
Ugandans in their
They're addressing Ugandan refugees, yes.
Oh, okay.
And they're addressing them like animals, yes. Instead of Ugandans.
You were part of that group?
I was there. I came to see, because as I said, I came to see. I never sat, but I came to see. And that's one of the reasons why I'm telling you that. And these are things from my memoirs, but maybe I'm bringing it now for a reason. If you find people like this, that they committed themselves, they lose their heads, then they lose their souls. The Mayombos, the Besiges, and now the Bagumas. That's the point I'm trying to make.
Hey, I did not understand you all the time. So you are killing, you are boxing the late Mayombo, Besigye and Baguma together.
People who
so in other words,
once upon a time
getting a piece of his own cake that he once upon a time himself.
That's not the point I'm making. That's not the point I'm making. So you do so much, you lose your soul, yeah, and then you hail something crude, and at the end of it, you get the treatment that Besigye is getting. It's very unfortunate coming from Baguma. But I want to say this. that you called Mayombo a Pan-Africanist. You know, I've always had a debate with you on this, and this is a Pan-Africanist show. And by that, usually, by that, promote this program. Every other time I tell you, I'm going for my Pan-Africanist show, because I've got all sorts of kind of shows. My Pan-Africanist show.
Yes. And they must tell
and this is a Pan-Africanist forum.
Yes.
And Pan-Africanism is the future.
Yes.
But anybody, any African who kills an African, huh? An African who imprisons an African, anybody who steals Africa, anybody in Africa who associates with dubious imperialist forces, in Africa who invades an African country and causes genocide, in Africa seeks to conquer and occupy, in Africa who uses little African resources and African children go. I heard you the other day, you were discussing with Professor Lanyo, one of the most powerful of Uganda's best, and he was telling about liberation theology. Any African who allegedly claims to do God is sort of like the same as an African who claims to do ideology. I don't know. I don't know whatever ideology in this case, because I don't know a progressive left Africanist like myself and my president Milton Obote, who completely believe in socialism, social democracy, in whichever form we want to go into it, can then go ahead and decide to exchange, a plate of portion, remove it from the mouth of an African child and give it to the excess of imperialism forces. That is not the African I know. And an African who's prepared to sell the lives of the African children for the privilege of something at the top is not. So, who's a Pan-Africanist? One who sells everything, every values and everything else that the African and African personality stands for in exchange for whatever it is with imperialism and the anti-African forces, the people who held us slaves, the people who colonized, the people who continued, including the new colonists, and all of these other people who have dubious links with the Nazis and the Zionists. I don't know if those are Pan-Africanists. But anyway, I am giving you my opinion.
Let's leave that one. Let's go to another topic. Comrade Ochieno, Bobi is out of the country.
Yeah.
And he is leaving the country, did not use the normal ways that we use to leave the country. He just escaped. Where did he pass? Nobody knows. What do you think about his escape?
Good enough you said escape. I'm a forced migration scholar, Yes, refugees don't normally wake up after breakfast and then they organize their passports and then they kiss goodbyes and then they wait for Nagongere trains to take them to Kampala and then wait for Uganda public transport bus to take them to Entebbe airport.
No, then they book a flight.
And they book flights and things. Refugees don't do that. Refugees don't have time for that. Refugees, by nature, by its own nature is that. Personally, I escaped.
Yes, you remember?
Yes, and that was 2 years into this NRA banditry. But I beat 7 roadblocks between Kampala and Entebbe.
You escaped?
I beat 7 NRA roadblocks. So actually, once in a while, some of us actually deserve more medals than some of these guys who bossed in the morning and the evening.
When you let me first hear from the first hand.
No.
How did you
escape? It's not for today.
Which plane did you take?
It's not for today.
Which plane did you take?
No.
Who stamped in your exit? Who? We are here asking ourselves, scratching our heads, which plane did he take? Who gave him the ticket? Who paid the ticket? How? Joseph, you are here. You are an expert in escaping from Uganda and coming back. So tell us, how did you?
Actually, that's very nice. That you could say I'm an expert.
You're an expert.
I'm an expert in escaping,
and you here you are.
But I'm also an expert on the study of escaping.
You returned here and you're living happy.
Yeah.
So tell me.
I'm not happy at all. My basic rights have been curtailed for the last 5 years. So I cannot say, yeah. So anyway, so now I used the taxi. I think we used taxis twice. Then we used buses
You
twice.
used the taxi from where to where?
The first journey took us of a taxi to a small distance. In between, I'm telling between here and Entebbe, because these are long distance, but I don't think it's the topic for our conversation today. So no, I went through 7 roadblocks between Kampala and Entebbe.
And you beat all of them?
And I beat all of them. So you've got to design. One of them possibly use your ID, with the others you say you're going down the road and things like that. So it's not an impossible thing. But I think you're right, the most difficult one is the one of stamping. In Chagulanyi's case, there are all sorts of speculations. There are some speculations that claim that some of the guys in NRA may have officially done it, I'm not, and then some others, maybe some of the guys unofficially. Mine, what I can tell you for certain, is that my passport was stamped officially. That is true. But the But the person who was stamping my passport, it's a long time ago by the way, the person stamping my passport at the time had absolutely no clue who I was. The person stamping my passport had absolutely no reason to suspect me. Now this NRA security, maybe they should help go and help their imperialist friends in providing security for the Strait of Hormuz. I don't think their intelligence had any clue that I would be flying out. But definitely there was NRA security monitoring the possibility of my exit via Kenya. You see?
They thought you would pass via Kenya. Then
not only via Kenya, no, they actually thought I was going to go to Kenya. At the time, not many people would possibly fly out, but in any case, I think it was more likely that I was going to go to Kenya than anywhere else. And of course, Kenya basically meaning not only the porous borders, but the former borders, but also then leaving Kampala means that the most likely place I was going to be, direction I was going to take was to the east, not anywhere else. So that's a bit of my story in that sense. So come then Robert's case, it would have been a whole combination of those, but people get exited with the support of various diplomatic missions, different kind of organizations that you can only be speculative about. But people also use statutory systems, and people also use formal systems, and they go. But I don't think the issue is whether or not how necessarily Chagulanyi allegedly escaped. Chagulanyi had been here for all these months. I don't know the circumstance in which he was either hiding or being looked for. Or it was some people were claiming that it was an act. It's neither here nor there. Then of course there's the other question on whether or not it was right for him to go out. I think that's very unfair on him. People have got rights to belong and rights to associate and right to be wherever they want. But in any case, in this case, because he basically quite clearly felt threatened, if he so did, it is a basic right to be able to make the move that he has done. But if he's in exile, then it will be the burden according to the Geneva Convention, 1951, Refugee Convention, it will be the determination of whichever country goes to, if he chooses to, seek asylum, for them to go through the merit of his own case. The political bit of it in 30 seconds is should he, shouldn't he? I think it's very unfair to subject to the question of whether or not he should or should not. If they're seeking advice in terms of what I would do, if UPC was in the position of NUP, and I was at the position of Chagulanyi, based on what happened, what would I be doing? I have my own opinion. But as NUP and as Chagulanyi, I think that's a matter for them. The indictment, though, is on NRA. That shame on NRA, that you go through an election and hardly 3 months later, the official leader of opposition has not shaken hands with the winner, the alleged winner actually. We've not seen people swearing in, we've not seen people congratulating one another, but instead the other guy is going and saying he's been wanting. So it's an indictment. Have we wasted time since Idi Amin? That's why I'm telling you that there's some people who clapped for this NRA, and there's some people who fed this NRA. My Jesus will give them an answer in the
You
heaven.
lived in exile for how many years?
Very long, 17 years.
17 years. I am sure when you're in exile, you're not able to operate like you would if you were on the ground.
No.
That's what I anticipate. That if I am physically here, I can do much more for the party, for the revolution, than when I am the other side. Because even
Not
communication is
necessarily much more. There's some things you can do better, yes.
So now, do you believe that Bobi leaving Uganda and leaving the party in the hands of his deputy, Dr. Zedriga, is going to amplify the revolution?
Is it a revolution?
I believe so.
We don't use word we can have, but anyway, carry on. Yeah.
Because according to how they have called their mission, it's like they are fighting a revolution.
Yeah.
But
they've also called the word the revolution to, like the NRA guys abused the word revolution.
Yes. Liberation struggle. They go to liberation struggle. But now, let's see. But the point I wanted is, do you see new administration keeping the momentum, the promised land, in the absence of Bobi Wine?
There are two elements to that question. Number one, first, as I said, that's why I told you that I don't know the circumstances leading to Chagulanyi's exit, and I don't know whether his exit is arrest or exile. And number three, I recognize the hostility that NRA subjected, particularly the NUP opposition. And so, therefore, whether or not it's better here or there doesn't count, because if it's circumstantial that Chagulanyi was forced to go out, then that's neither here nor there. But that said, we got rid of Idi Amin, and the commander-in-chief of that operation was Dr. Bobi. The Musevenis were tiny little beneficiaries who never appreciated it. But Bobi was in Zambia, and it was a smart, decent operation after 9 years, holistic, wasted by a bunch that never satisfied and never appreciated. Bobi too, and rather after Bobi too, Bobi spent 19 years in exile. Obote effectively led in the return to multipartism, so it was UPC, later DPD, the repeal of Article 269, and there was among the younger deputies, or the more junior deputies, the not so significant deputies in London. So that campaign against this NRA banditry and return to pluralism was conducted from Lusaka. Successfully. Yes, successfully. So the location of the overall commander-in-chief, by and large, does not necessarily matter. But in any case, that depends on what the war is. If it's a military operation like one in the one of terror in Luwero, where some people claim that some people were busy eating sausages in Sweden, while they were teaching, and others in Nairobi, while others they were teaching some other people's children to throw grenades on Kampala's Blue Road. That's neither here nor there. But from a political perspective, if it's an already well-structured organization, there's no reason why you can't lead the command from anywhere. However, in terms of opinion, some people will come and say, well, you're better on being with the guys on the ground and something along those lines. To Robert's consolation, when some of Mr. Museveni's friends had infiltrated the UPC and they wanted to get rid of Obote, and then the people like Cecilia's and others were around, once upon a time Obote was even called jealous, that he was out of touch. You see, I'm telling you what is my memos. Oh, the old man is out of touch, He's there in Lusaka or whatever. No. Old Milton was more in touch than most people in Kampala. And I've told many people that for me in London, even at my trainee level, I was much more in touch, including with the terror that NRA was subjecting people in northern Uganda, people in concentration camps, than people in Kampala. Yes, I was. And we had systems that gave us reasonably close information. And you can imagine that's a time when there was no internet yet, no Skype, whatever. We depended on a few phone calls, and letters, and those kind of possibilities. But we were still much more structurally informed under circumstances than anything. So for Chagulanyi, that's that. But there is a relative advantage for him that from outside, depending on how he handles it, he can build on the diplomatic work that we did. That some of his own people, Robert, some of your colleagues, people don't know that we built the diplomatic foundation in which you guys found. Sometimes, I'm telling him, so sometimes they forget. They think they started this. No, they didn't start.
They think they're starting from scratch.
No, they think the struggle against NRA started in 2017, 18, 19. No, it just like Uganda did not start in 1986. The campaign again around NRA, including abroad, we started it long time ago. So the infrastructure that is outside, which can be reasonably used for good, because when we say that about opposition to this NRA regime, it's not about throwing bombs or stones. It's basically about, in any case, for our friends in NRA, we're simply saying that, look, we want to create a situation in which all of us come together and narrow down our interests so that our interests become the Republic of Uganda and its future rather than any good.
Thank you so much, Comrade Joseph Ochieno. You've married it very well. Our last point here, or topic, is about Iran. I want us to update ourselves about the Iran war. The last time we were here together, America was pretty much on top of its game, at least by reports, because they know they are also infiltrating the media, the international media. Apart from maybe Al Jazeera, other media, CNN, but the BBC, they are infiltrating. By the time we come back here, the last time I checked, Trump was on the call every minute, trying to mobilize for support from the people he even never had military cooperation with. Actually, they are competing. Countries like China and Russia. This time round, he was trying to bench on them to ensure that they send military assistance to secure that stream is called what?
Strait of Hormuz.
Strait of Hormuz. That is a sign that America, Trump can no longer manage to secure it alone army. He went as far as also benching on the NATO. But all members of NATO have kept quiet. And I have seen Trump ranting on social media saying, these guys will give trillions of dollars through NATO to protect our collective interests. Now when America is on fire, they are quiet. When we are spending trillions of dollars on them, to hell with these guys. These are words of Donald Trump, who has been previously saying, we have decimated Iran. Iran has nothing else it can do. It can't do anything. We have literally finished them. From this microphone, he's saying we have finished them. You give him another microphone on the right, the same person is saying, please come and help us.
Yes, sir.
What can you say about that situation America is facing with Trump?
That I'm very disappointed that I am yet to see any demonstration anywhere on the African continent in solidarity with Iran. I am yet to see any demonstration on the African continent, even if it is not in support of Iran, but a demonstration against war, the war of occupation. In fact, maybe if there was even a demonstration in support of America and Israel, I would say the African is conscious. That there is total silence on the continent, I'm very disappointed, and that's very worrying. Number two, I'm actually shocked that I've not been invited. By the way, there's some student groups that are organizing the shooting. I've not been invited to any student group, any student debate. not even on social media, to discuss this Epstein
files.
Epstein, Netanyahu, Trump war of terror in the Gulf. That said, as I told you before, the African Union is quiet. This African community is quiet. Maybe they fear that Trump might.
At least Museveni spoke.
Maybe they think that Trump might come and Maduro them, you know, and then the non-aligned movement, whose official headquarters is here. Museveni spoke like the way certain people must say, you see, okay,
Museveni was very clear. I told these people to have a two-state solution. They have refused. Their war is a religious war. Meanwhile, all of them are my friends. Iran is my friend.
The more you repeat those things, the worse you make it from Mr. Museveni. Okay, carry on.
No, that's what they say.
So Museveni spoke, yes, these are my friends.
Yes. And he gave his opinion. I told
Two-state
you,
solution?
Yes. Then this is a religious war. Don't fight on the line of religions, please. How much do you...
So to whom was that message?
The people fighting the war. Stop fighting on religious lines.
And where was the message for the people of the non-aligned movement? And where was the message for the citizens of the country? In that, where was it? And so they have to find out what was the message Museveni was sending out. So anyway, that said, it's very unfortunate that Trump and Netanyahu have caused an unnecessary mayhem in the Middle East. The killing of school children in Iran.
Trump was saying it is Iran that killed its own children.
The killing of innocent civilians in Iran, indeed in Israel, in Lebanon, and all the neighboring countries, completely unnecessary. The real huge destruction of property that you see in all the countries involved, and in particular the manner in which Trump and his mate Netanyahu indiscriminately bombing civilian spaces in Iran, is sometimes you wonder, do these people really know God? Do they have a God? If they have a God, then they must be having a God of revenge, the God that I know. But so it's bad. But then finally come to your point. It's extraordinary, isn't it, that Trump very arrogantly with Netanyahu went on to start this war of terror of theirs, unprecedentedly kill the leader of the Islamic Revolution. I'm Catholic, I'm Christian Catholic, but the killing a religious leader, in this case, if you like, the successful leader of a nation state, it's almost like killing the King of England. Completely unacceptable, unprecedented. And then they thought, of course, yes, they would get away with it. But I think, as you suggest,
Israel were very happy for killing Khamenei.
That's why sometimes I find it very interesting that if there was a date to be announced that all of us are going to heaven, I really want to see which line people will take in the queue. and the way I'll get into heaven will be, I'm waiting. So it's very sad, very devilish. So Trump does that, and I think he miscalculated it. My interesting bit was Britain, where I have a closer interest, in which initially I think the British Prime Minister thought he would go ahead and play dance with Trump, and then suddenly realized public opinion was not going to favor him. So he pulled back, and that's for the right reason. And then another one was the German leader who went and met Trump and made exciting statements, then really suddenly realized that they needed to pull back. No, your point is that the countries that matter in NATO, namely Britain, France and Germany, have not supported the whole thing, and NATO generally is substantially opposed to this. I'm quite impressed with the position taken by Ireland and particularly Spain of the NATO member states. And that this is Trump and Netanyahu's war and they're not going to get involved. I really hope that position maintains. And then finally, I am delighted to see that Russia is possibly smiling at the other extreme end, doing their own things, whatever it is. And I'm also now delighted that unfortunately these guys are doing their own things, and then who's going to say anything about Ukraine? But most importantly, the guys who are dancing in the streets actually are the Chinese, who are actually the best boys in town. I think whatever happens, Iran has proven thus far that you can bomb them, but you will not bomb them off the planet. And I think the scary thing for Anglo-America is that they have started a war that they're not sure that they'll conclude. But last thing, during the Iran-Iraqi war, when I was in my A-levels, we were invited by the Baghdad embassy here in Kampala, when they're trying to promote the idea that Iraq was a victim. They gave us newspapers, they gave us biscuits as students, and as we're leaving, I was head of delegation, so we were busy laughing that look. It was very clear to us that between Iraq and Iran, these Iraqi guys are neither here nor there. If anything, they've been the books of the Americans, and then the relationship was fallen. So it's been a long story. Iran suffered from the 1979 Islamic Revolution. You do not have to agree with them. So that's why I actually put my disclaimer. It's an Islamic Revolution, and I'm not a Muslim, but the issue should not be about faith. The thing should be about independence, about sovereignty, it's about principles, about rights. This is the reality of their 6,000-year civilization. Christianity landed here just within the last couple of 100 years. So it's neither here nor there. What do I use to determine who's right and who's not? In any case, the question that the Africans who continue to support blindly Netanyahu and this Zionist movement in Israel, they forget that actually Netanyahu does not believe in Christianity. Whatever the case, I think my view is that the position that Iran has taken is not a position for Iran, but I think it's a position for developing countries, including non-aligned movements, that go through that by the time there is any ceasefire, you're guaranteeing Iran's territorial integrity and sovereignty. You're agreeing that you never will go ahead and just want to go ahead and throw your bombs with impunity against them. And then, yes, the destruction of property that you've done, you pay reparations to them. And as you pay reparations to Iranians, we should also begin preparing, and we also be looking for law in Uganda, because we also want the masters of slavery to pay us reparations. And while you do that,
stop threatening us.
Are you one of them?
And on that note, Comrade Joseph Ochieno Pintek, I want to thank you so much for
my pleasure.
giving me your time always. And I want to admit that you are a nice guy when it comes to analysis. You're a nice guy.
That's the only reason why I'm here, and the reason why I'm here is that I try my level best to be good, but most importantly is because your network, the spy, is fantastic. How you do not help to spy for the world so that there is a world peace, I have no clue.
Trump is mad. Even if you tell him, hey, there is a beach, they say, what the hell are you talking about? That's Trump.
Actually, could use that word hell without any reservation.
Andrew Irumba Live, this is Joseph Ochieno Pintek, my elder, my friend here. And this has been the Spy Television, the Spy Uganda with Andrew Irumba Live. This episode belongs to my elder here, Comrade Joseph Ochieno, the permanent spokes for the dead and living Wilson Obote, but he's talking about the idea now that the man died. Thank you so much for watching.